Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's the Knitting Posse podcast. I'm Lorien.
I'm Kim.
I'm Kate.
I'm Laura.
And we're excited to see you again. First, a big shout out to everyone who made it to our virtual knit night, our first ever.
It was fun.
Virtual knit night. First but not last. So
yes,
I'm excited to share that we are going to host another in the future. Details to come.
It was fun.
It was fun, right? It was fun to see people from truly all over the country, all over the world. And actually, we had some clusters. We had quite a few West Coast Americans and Canadians, or towards Western Canada.
Yeah.
And a few people who we'd actually met in person. A couple of local friends were on too.
Yeah.
And then it was also really nice to put a face to a name. I think next time we're going to ask people to rename themselves with their like either their Ravelry or Instagram handle on the screen. And then because that's how people know each other. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But we had a lot of fun. And it was really, we appreciaed everybody showing up. And it was also nice because some people were making connections with one another.
I know.
Based on, right, where they lived. So, so that was really kind of fun. And then also just a reminder that we are hosting a make-along right now. So anything that you feel like making that is bringing you joy, we call it the
Small things.
Small things. Thank you. I always want to call it little things, but small things. And you'll see some of our small things, or at least Kate's finished some small things already. And we're running that through the end of May. And there'll be prizes. We will show you prizes on a future episode. We're still gathering things for prizes, but we love prizes. So there will be prizes. And it's really just things, I mean, I'm making, because I've showed it on other episodes, a mitered square blanket, and I do a square representing each day of the year, and I find that really gratifying. A square can take about 40 minutes. I've probably lied and said 25 in the past. It takes me 40 per square, but it's really very fulfilling to take on something manageable. I think that's all of our housekeeping. Yeah, good. All right, so what we're wearing, Kim's gonna kick us off today.
So it's been fun doing this because I'm digging deep for some, depending on the weather, and coming across some older patterns or things that I've knit that I've forgotten about. Like this one. This one is Tilted Texture by Jennifer Weissman. And can you see that? Is it coming up at all?
Yes.
It is a reversible shawl, and it's made of Woolfolk snow. I told you Woolfolk was my favorite. And it starts off in the corner, starts with 3 stitches, gradually, gets bigger. But what's fun is the pattern changes quickly and often, so you're not bored at all. And like she says, it's reversible, so it's not like you have to wear, one side of the other. So it's a great size, even though it's triangle, just like we've always said, like small enough that I could wrap it around, wear it in the house, put it under a coat, whatever need be. So that's a good one to look up. It's Tilted Texture. We'll put it in our show notes below.
Really pretty.
Thank you.
And then Kate?
I am wearing my droplet capelet.
Looks great.
Thank you. This is by Denise Bayron, and I knit it in a Verb for Keeping Warm yarn. It's their floating base. It's 70% alpaca, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. So it was a one skein project. I bought the skein up at Espace Tricot when I was up there in December, and they had a sample, this exact color knit up, and I fell in love with it. And I'd been looking for something to make this pattern with, and it was a really fun pattern to do. I did play yarn chicken because I did want to use like every tiny little bit of this yarn, and I think we talked about it maybe on the last podcast, but I ended up doing the magic knot to finish it, and I had to cut off the tail from my cast on and magic knotted it with the little piece of yarn that I had left. And this is literally how much yarn I had when I finished.
You beat the chicken.
I like eked out beating the chicken. So that is my FO.
And it looks so, blocking is key for a pattern.
It definitely was. So I didn't want to show, it was finished last time, but I hadn't blocked it, but it really opens up so nicely once you block it. And you can wear it like all different ways. I kind of like it with the triangle point down here, but you can put the point in the front, you can put the point in the back. You can bunch it up as like a cowl. So it's very versatile.
It's nice to see some pants and a belt. That's impressive.
I did put on a belt today. First time in quarantine. And my skinny jeans, and they still fit, so that's good.
Good girl. Good sign.
It's a great project, Kate. It looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maximize your skein.
Yeah, I enjoyed working with this yarn, and I really enjoyed the pattern. So I definitely will knit more of her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Great, Laura.
All right, I'm also wearing an oldie but a goodie. It's not that old, but this is the Alinda wrap by Amba O'Brien, who is a prolific shawl designer. And this is a lace weight. It's gorgeous. It's Swan's Island lace weight merino silk. It is so soft and light and airy. I really love it. It took me a really long time. It's very long. This is wrapped around twice. Forget how many inches it is. And it was the kind of thing that I started and then put down for a while. I actually put it down for a really long time. And then, I don't know, something made me pick it up again, and I got addicted, and I really cranked it out. But it's luscious, and it's a nice spring day here. It's sunny again, finally. And I just think this is sort of a perfect spring wrap. I love it.
Very
I loved it so much that I actually went and found the yarn. It is discontinued now.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
But I actually went and found it, and I have it in like a charcoal gray. And I started it a while back and then put it away because it does take a really long time, but I am going to get it out again.
When I picked it up, I was reminded, like, it feels so incredible. It's just so, it blocked beautifully. It's a fun piece.
It's really light and airy.
Really light and airy.
Yeah. I am wearing the answer to one of our questions, I think, was sort of a project we were proud of, or one of our favorite projects. And I figured I should wear it. So it's a shawl that I knit some time ago. It's long. It's a lot going on there. It is called Brioche-Luscious. And that's not to be confused with Brioche-Licious, because she's done both. And it is a brioche textured sectioned shawl by Andrea Mowry. It's huge. It uses 4 or 5 colors. And it was at the time for me, it was definitely a challenge. I think I met her while I was wearing one of her patterns before. She was like a recognizable figure, and I think I was knitting this, and I was like, what were you thinking in designing this edging? So by the time you get to the end, this is a knitted on border, so you knit it down from the top, and then you knit the border sideways, and it was like some crazy amount of this brioche repeat, which actually looks better on the reverse side.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
It was like 37 repeats of this. Anyway, she said, it's worth it. You'll love it. And this is probably one of the best color renditions on our Zoom cast so far. It's really bright. It's a lot of blues and purples and this bright yellow. It's all knit in hedgehog fibers, because I went through a period of being kind of obsessed with their yarns and colors, and it's really perfect these bright colors for this type of pattern. The shawl has a story. I wore it out to visit my college friends, and we met up in Denver, and I left it in the it got lost in a security bin at the airport.
Oh, no.
And since it was Denver, someone found it, turned it in, and they saved it. And my friend traveled often for work, so she passed through the airport, picked it up, and shipped it back to me.
my gosh.
Wow. That was really lucky. So I love this shawl because it has a lot of story to it. It was a lot of work. And Andrea was right. It was totally worth it.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you. All right. So that's what we're wearing.
Yeah.
Whips next.
Oh, whips. Okay.
Whips or FOs, whatever you. Yeah. Kim, you go. You pick which up because you're up first.
So I'm going to do FOs just because.
FOs first. Okay.
Okay. I finished 2 things. The Ellery sweater by, oh brother, who is it by? It's in the show notes. But
Elizabeth Doherty.
Yes. How could we forget
Sorry,
that?
I'm muting myself because someone's in my kitchen making coffee.
Oh, brother. Anyway, made with Quince & Co, the Kestrel. And I love this sweater. I love this sweater. I'll probably wear it next week.
Ooh.
Is that a good view? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, it's like Kate's poncho. You have to block this linen. Once it blocks, and throw it in the dryer, softens it up. And I think it's just going to get better and better as I continue to wear it and wash it. I'm so glad, and Laura, you're gonna laugh when I say this. I'm so glad that I did a swatch because I had to knit the size small, and it fits. It's the perfect fit. If I did the medium, I would have been swimming in the sweater. So thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
I love it. Very happy with it. I think it will be a spring, summer, wearable sweater for sure. So one more, then I'll pass the buck. Stupid Georgetown cardigan, I'm renaming it. No. It's by Hannah Fettig, and I talked last week or whenever that was about the puffy shoulders and the issue I had. So I frogged both shoulders, took it out, redid it in the size. I had originally knit it in the size large, thinking I want a big, comfy sweater. The shoulder arms were too big. So I picked up and followed for the mediums, the size medium. It's better. It's much better, but I still don't love it. But I'm not going to put it on yet because I need to block it. Some of the puffy, see, you could even still see it. It's still a little puffy here. And I did go back on the Ravelry page because a couple of people said they had problems with that too. So who knows? I'm going to block it again because once I frogged it, it was still so curly from having been knit up before. So hopefully that will soften it up, and I think I'll be able to live with it then. But a lot of work for something not perfect. And it was not an inexpensive item, so I will wear it a lot because I'll just wear it in the house, and clearly, which would be every day. So, but it's nothing I would go out to the market, and I don't think. Maybe I'll change my mind once it blocks. So I'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, a lot of the people in their project notes mentioned the same issue.
Yeah. So, I'll put that. I did put it in my Ravelry page, though. I did write everything, all the problems I had with it. Maybe it's just
I wonder if it's just a problem with that method of picking up sleeves or something specific to that yarn or that pattern. I'm curious about that.
Honestly, I think it's the method. So it's picking up short row, short row, short row, short row. And I think it goes down too far picking up short rows. And I think it should end shorter and then knit straight down. So it gets a little bunchy right in here. Or maybe a decrease should start sooner. I'm not sure, like I said, that was my first time ever really doing short rows on the shoulders, and it looks like it's going to give it a great fit, but then it just didn't. So maybe if I had knit the proper size sweater, so maybe it doesn't fit properly on my shoulders here. But even when I pull it up, you know, saying that does fit properly, it's still bunchy. So
yeah, and I think in the project pages, like I said, there were a lot of different yarns used and a lot of different sizes knit, and people mentioned it. Yeah.
So
it's not you.
Sorry, shaking the table. So happy it's not me.
Yeah. All right, Kate.
Okay, so I have a couple of FOs. This is my first one.
So sweet.
Oh, it's so cute.
It's so cute.
So it'll be a little small on you.
Yeah. I didn't swatch.
Yeah.
It's called the Baby Wrap Sweater by Erica Flory. And I knit it in Lion Brand jeans yarn. It's an acrylic yarn. It's really affordable and it's so soft. I loved working with it. This is the 6-month size. It only took 1 skein and it can be washed and dried. So it was a really fun knit. I did do one modification. I knit the sleeves. I picked up and knit the sleeves in the round magic loop. And it was fun. It was fun to do.
What are those sleeves supposed to be, flat and then sewn?
Yeah, and then you're supposed to like seam from here to here. Yeah. So I just knit the sleeves in the round and then I just did the seam here. Because what happens is you make these I cords here that you tie, and there's actually some, see, on the inside of the sweater as well. Okay. So you make the I cords and then attach all 4 of the I cords so that you can just kind of wrap up the little baby like a burrito.
Yeah, I think that's a great design because it's, as we all know, because we've all had babies, it's really hard sometimes to put a sweater over a baby's head and they're wriggling and you're, you know, on a changing table or something. And so doing it that way, I think it's a great design.
Yeah, you can just lay the baby right on top of it while it's open, stick their arms in, and then tie them up.
Yeah. Yes, I had a baby with a really big head.
Me too. Me too.
He still has a really big head.
Mine too.
Mine are little chicken.
So V-necks were the way to go for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, V-neck vests.
So my other FOs are so cute. I just started knitting these 2 days ago.
Yeah,
and I have 3 done. I haven't
done that pattern before. That one's fun.
But it's really fun to do. And I actually followed, let me see if I wrote it down. I didn't. It's in my Ravelry notes though. There was somebody who like wrote down how to do the slip stitch edges so it finishes off the edges a little bit nicer. And I just kind of liked that, my little OCD-ness. And so I followed her directions and did the slip stitch edges so it so the edges are a little more finished.
Kate, Charlotte used to make those and give them out as gifts with like the Myers kitchen soap if she was going to someone's house for dinner.
Yeah,
it was a cute little, you know, thank you gift or something.
I mean they don't take that long to knit. And I did a smaller size based on the Mason-Dixon blog, and I'm using Lily Sugar and Cream cotton yarn, and I have 4 different colors. I have red, yellow, green, and blue, and I'm just gonna work my way. So these were the yellow backgrounds, and now I've started, here's my whip, on the blue backgrounds, and I'll just go through and I still have like so much yarn. So I'm not sure how many these 4 balls of yarn will make, but I'll keep you posted. So those are my FOs. Fun, quick, small things.
And Laura?
I actually don't have an FO. I have a pretty substantial whip, so I'll wait until we do whips.
Okay, me too. No FO. No sleeve counts. So, all right. So back to Kim.
Okay, back to Kim. My whips. All right. Well, I'm doing it right now. It is a baby blanket for my cousin Jackie, and it's called the Garter Rib Baby Blanket. I'm just finishing up a few little stitches here. It's just made in Plymouth yarn worsted. I know it's our rule, Lorien. You're not supposed to. I didn't know it was coming up so soon, my time. It's just a cute little rib.
Oh, it is cute.
And it's a boy she's having. I had some great ideas, but this I had in my stash, believe it or not. I'm no. Yeah, and it's just Plymouth superwash, so it will be, washable, and the baby can spit up as much as it wants and not worry about it. No family heirloom here. And then I'm going to start my washcloths today. I have some cotton also, but mine are gray and light gray. So gray. It's my favorite color. That's it.
Right, Kate.
My only whip right now is this, my next dishcloth. But I think I'm going to swatch for my Berg sweater this afternoon, and Kim and I will do our mini make along.
Okay, Laura.
All right, I had to keep muting myself. There's a lot going on in my kitchen this morning. So my whip is almost, it's getting there, an FO. It's gonna be hard to show, but this
wow,
is,
Laura,
I know. I've gotten my money's worth out of Netflix this week. I've watched, in the last 3 days, I've watched all of Outer Banks.
Oh, you did? I'm not done yet.
And all of Never Have I Ever, which was actually pretty much yesterday. So I've been doing a lot of knitting. I'm almost finished. This is the, I can't remember, I didn't say it, the Aldous, Aldous by Isabel Kramer. And I'm going to give credit. I actually had this in my favorites and had this yarn in my stash. And in my notes, I was like, ooh, maybe I'll make this out of this yarn. And then I was watching the Knitters League, and Alyssa was wearing, they did a quarantine version, and they all submitted their own tapes, and it was what their favorite knits were. And she was wearing her Aldous, and I was instantly smitten. It looked so great on her. It's such a simple, basic sweater, but some beautiful details. It's hard to see, but the shoulder shaping here, it needs to be blocked, obviously. I really liked it. It's like a saddle shoulder with, increases that go across and then down. I love the shaping. The only mods that I'm doing is, for top down, I like to do the neckband after, and it calls for casting on and knitting the ribbing and then going into the sweater. So I just knit, started below that, and then I like to pick up and knit because I feel like I have more control over what that fit is, and that's something to me that's very important part of a sweater. If I don't like the neck, then I'm not going to wear it. And then it comes with a couple different options. You can do a straight body or an A-line. I did the A-line. And you can do a split hem or a solid hem.
And I like the split.
I like the split too.
Yeah, I'm doing the split hem. And then the other thing that I'm going to try that I've never done before is I'm going to knit the sleeves top down, but I'm going to knit them flat and seam them, because I don't like knitting sleeves in the round. And I do the magic loop method, and I always seem to get like a little bit of an indication where it's been split. I don't like it. I don't like the fiddliness of it. So Karen Templer from Fringe Supply is the first person or somebody who I've seen talk about that, and she knits them flat. And I think you add an extra stitch on either side to allow for the seaming. So I'm going to try that and see if I like it. I might just do the stocking neck part and then join it and knit the ribbing in the round. I'm not sure, so I'll let you know, but I hope to be wearing this next week for you.
I love that. And
I love this yarn. It's the Rerum Natura Ulisse.
It's
very hard. It's like an eggplanty, deep purple. I love
think
it.
all four of us like that color.
Yeah.
Don't we?
It's beautiful.
Maybe that's our Rhinebeck color. And I'm ahead of the game.
Yeah. Cheater.
What you don't like with the knitting magic loop, Laura, is called laddering.
Yes.
And that's something we need when you start socks, depending how you're going to knit them, that you'll play with.
Well, so one of the things, I've always avoided socks for that reason, because I don't like knitting small tubes like that. And I actually ordered the flexi flips, because I saw this woman do a post about knitting socks on flip. She was like rating flexi flips, and she talks about that, and I think it helps with that, but we'll see, because after I finish this, I'm definitely going to do a pair of socks.
Cool.
So we'll see.
My whip is almost an FO, because I'm sick of it. This is the beatnik.
I'm kind of sick of it too. No kidding.
Sweater. What did you say?
I said I'm kind of sick of it too. No.
I'm sick of it too. Yeah.
No.
So I posted it. I really wanted to finish the sleeves. I thought we were filming Monday. I have all my days. Every day's a Monday right now. Big stuff. And I am kind of the opposite in the sense of those of you who like to seam and like structured pieces. But so I used and really, I don't think I've ever taken a class on finishing, and I probably should. So I've seamed the shoulders, and I don't mind picking up. I have to pick up something around the neckline and knit. I think it has like a mock turtle collar, but I don't know. I'm going to decide. It's looking pretty open, so I have to see how much that closes this up. I don't mind it open. The sleeves went pretty well. I knit the body in the round up to the arm pit. The pattern called for knitting it flat, and that's just not me, which made the body take forever. It has two different cable patterns, cable charts, and then you're knitting moss stitch. The sleeves went faster. This is supposed to be a 3/4 sleeve. I prefer mine full length. And then if I want to push them up, I'll push them up. So I made some adjustments just based on having knit the body and knowing the ribbing dimensions and the size, the number of stitches I needed to get to by the time I got to the armpit. So stay tuned. It'll be finished. This is knit in some of Laura's stash yarn that now she's not getting back now that I've knit it, but which is Kensington by Haiku. It's a Aran, I think, maybe chunky, maybe a little heavier than that. Tweed. It's a blend, and it's I'm glad I did it, but I'm going to be really glad when I'm done with it. If it stays a little cool like this, I could still wear it, get a little bit of wear out of it. I posted a picture saying couldn't I just wear it with my in? And there were a couple of questions, I think, on our group, some really nice compliments. But one person asked, which I thought I would throw out to the group. I know we're not yet at questions. We still have acquisitions, but tutorials on attaching different types of yarns. So I thought I'd throw that to the group.
Attaching different yarns, are they
Well, I'll say for one thing, I've knit sweaters in yarn that is very breakable, like loft. My Berenice I made out of Elsa wool fingering, and I had to seam with a different yarn because there's it would break. But also with a bulky yarn too. Are you seaming with that yarn?
Yeah.
Ryan? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very forgiving.
Okay.
And it is not. Is it plied? Let me look. It's not as delicate as I would say the Brooklyn tweeds are, the shelter and loft. It might have a very light ply, but not much. It's almost woolen spun, but it's very nice for seaming, I will say.
Yeah.
So
I imagine that some yarns would be too bulky for seaming.
What did you buy, Laura? Like a thread? Was it a sewing thread?
Embroidery thread.
And did you use it with the yarn or just the embroidery thread?
Just the embroidery thread.
Okay. I've only used just the yarn that I knit with.
Yeah, I think that's usually what people, most sweaters, that's not a problem. But every once in a while, you'll come across you'll be using a yarn that it doesn't work to seam with it.
Yeah, I don't know if this was about what yarn to seam with or just joining. She
Like
said
how to seam?
attaching different types of yarn. This came in from Apple Tandem, whose name isn't on their account. And I think it depends on the project. More often than not, something like this that's just so bulky, I just knit a couple of stitches with holding both yarns together, like three to five. I'll just knit a few because you really can't tell it's sort of blending. Because it has, I think it's nylon in it, it wouldn't work to slice it. I think you need an all wool yarn. But splicing would be an option for something like that, where you kind of felt the little ends together truly with some spit. You would fray it open, and then I've used YouTube for lots of things. We like Pearl Soho for their tutorials. They have wonderful tutorials that are both written, photographed, and videoed. I also think Stacy of Very Pink Knits is a genius and has probably one of the most expansive libraries of how-to tutorials on nearly everything you could ask for.
That's the tutorial I used for the magic knot when I did this.
Yeah, so
those are my two go-tos, is Very Pink Knits and then Pearl Soho. Yeah. But Lorien, back to adding a yarn, holding it together. Yeah. I've also learned the hard way. I try to do it on the sides now. I do have one sweater I did it run, and it bothers the crap out of me when I wear that sweater. I'm like, no one else probably, well, you would probably all notice, but no one else would notice. But yeah. I'm sorry it bothers you. So lessons learned. I try to hide, make note of how much yarn I have left and keep it to the side or a space that's not front and center.
Yeah, I'm doing magic knot on my sweater right now, and I also make sure it's sort of either in the back or under, in the side. I don't want it to be right in the front. It's not really noticeable, but if it could be, and I just don't want it in the front.
I did drop a needle size. I got gauge with I got my gauge, let's say, because I don't wash, and no. I did my stockinette 1 inch swatch. But I got it with a slightly smaller needle. So that's what I went with. And I think it's come out very close. I don't think I'm going to need to do some heavy blocking even on that sweater. Which will be good. So stay tuned. Maybe it'll be cold enough to wear it next time. Acquisitions, Kim.
Yeah, I had a pretty good showing this week. I ordered yarn for the 7 Sisters top. Can you see that? Okay, and that is by Sloane Lacasse. And I ordered the yarn that it calls for. It's Blue Sky. Hang on, I have it right here.
Blue Sky. Worsted
organic
printed.
Yeah, and it showed up, and I did it, and it's called a lamb's ear.
Dusty Miller.
By the way, they're the same plants. They're in the same family. Same color too, and it's a very soft greeny algae type color. So that came. And I also ordered, I wasn't going to talk about it, but it's right here. Quince Co. Sparrow. It's an organic linen. In the past, I knit a Gillam sweater, and it was too small, so Kate has a beautiful Gillam. But I really like it, so I'm going to re-knit it. And now swatch, make sure it fits, because no one else is getting a free sweater.
Yeah.
So there are two things that came in the mail this week. So that's pretty good for me.
Kate, do you have any show and tell?
I do. I have the exact same blue sky fiber worsted printed yarn in the exact same color as Kim to do the exact same sweater.
By the way, showed up in like record time.
Yeah, we ordered it from Dinah at the knitting place, and like we ordered it one day. I think it was here. Was it the next day or the day after? Like
the next day. I would order it like 5 at night, I think.
Yeah.
And it was here by, well, our mail comes at 11, 12.
Yeah.
It was like someone must have seen mail across Long Island Sound with it or something. No.
Yeah, it was crazy fast. So that is my only acquisition for this week.
Laura, anything?
Yeah, so I also want to knit the Seven Sisters summer top. So we're doing a little knit along, I guess. And I liked the printed cotton, but the only color that I personally liked was the one, I forget what it's called. It had some
holly.
What was it?
Sea holly.
Sea holly. It had little light blue. It wasn't as contrasty as that. And it's such a simple looking sweater. They do make solid colors of that yarn, but I don't know. I just didn't think that was enough because it's such a simple sweater. So I don't know what rabbit hole I went down, but I decided it's Tahki yarn skinny jeans, and it's actually a tape yarn. And I should get the right gauge with this. And it's very hard to see. It's so hard to see. It has some depth to it, and I'm going to try it. I'm either going to love it or I'm going to hate it. I don't think there's going to be anything in between, but I'm going to try it. So that was my acquisition.
Have you swatched that?
Not yet. I will.
What's it going to do when it washes, I wonder? Like, will it poof?
No,
it's
hard. No. But I think this is going to give it the texture that I think it needed. But again, like I said, I'm either going to love it or hate it. I looked at projects on Ravelry that were in this, and there was some stuff that was pretty similar to that summer top, and I liked it from the picture. We'll see.
What is the fiber in it? What's it made of?
Good question. 70% cotton and 30% nylon.
Oh, nice.
So we'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm either going to love it or hate it. And I just figured, I found this, I can't remember where, but I found it somewhere on sale, and it was pretty inexpensive. So I just thought, all right, I'll try it.
Give it a shot.
Because I like the top. I like the pattern. So.
Yep. All right. I don't have any acquisitions this week. So we are going to turn to our list of questions.
We're whittling them down.
What's that?
We're whittling them down. We're getting down to the end. Yeah.
Right. If I read something that we've answered before and I'm just not remembering because my mind's a marshmallow,
I hear you.
We already did that. So we've got a few from Carol. Do you work outside the home? Did we talk about that?
I don't think so, but
okay.
Yeah, Kim.
Yeah, I do. Part-time. I think I've mentioned this before. I work at a garden nursery, and actually went back to work yesterday for the first time in a while, because people want their planters done, people want their landscaping done, and I love my job. I love it. I get to work outside, get my hands in the dirt, and I get to work with fun people too, which is half the battle sometimes, right? So and it's part-time. Works for me.
Good. Kate?
I also work part-time just teaching with our local continuing ed knitting classes. So that's not happening right now, but we have been meeting virtually on Zoom. So that's been fun. But that's my little part-time job.
Laura?
I do not. I think I'm the only one who doesn't.
Well, mine is recent, and so is Kate's, so we just went back. Yeah.
And I work at a private school doing fundraising. in the development office. I am the development office. And I also teach yoga, small group private classes from my home. My studio is right there behind me. I've taught in studios as well, or large groups, and I can teach meditation also. But that stuff is on hold. I just find I can't get the energy from a screen. I do my own practices sometimes off of YouTube teachers that I follow, but I've done
or meditation or yoga.
I did chair yoga for my students, and we just felt like happy hour was better. So, so we gave up on that. They liked it. I mean, it's fun. It's good to see things that you can do in a chair if you're stuck Zooming or on calls or at your desk or dining room table, kitchen table all day. Next question. Do you have children?
I do. I have two, a girl and a boy, 21 and 20, and they're both home with me, and I love having them here. So that's where we are.
I also have two boys, and they are 20 and 19, both home. I had forgotten how much they eat. So trying to be methodical in my grocery shopping is difficult. And I was the kind of person that before this whole thing, I would go like every day. And now it's like I'm trying to plan like 2 weeks at a time, and it's not easy.
I have 3 boys. One is 24 in Vermont, and I have twin boys who are 22. One is home. He was the one making coffee earlier that I had to mute. And one is in Colorado.
And I have 2. My son is 18. He's a high school senior. And my daughter is approaching 15. She is a high school freshman. Okay, next question. Do you and your spouse have a favorite hobby together?
Gosh. Jay and I like to ski together. That's what we've done since we started dating. We also did some sailing together. We don't do that right now. Well, clearly because of the weather, but we don't have a boat right now. And we're happy at home together. We're happy sitting in our backyard, just enjoying our yard, watching TV with each other. We're pretty quiet. So he's a good partner.
Rich and I also ski. We also take walks together, a lot more so now, like every day, sometimes twice a day. And we're kind of homebodies also, like just hanging out on the couch. He likes to watch me knit. He's a good yarn husband. He doesn't mind going to the yarn shops, especially because he always finds like little restaurants or coffee spots nearby. So, yeah.
It's interesting. Desmond and I actually have a lot of different hobbies. He doesn't knit. We both read, but that's not a joint thing. I would say the thing that we most like to do together, outside of travel, which we both like, but obviously, is going to art museums. Desmond is really, really into art and knowledgeable and studies it, and it's really fun. I love going to art museums with him because it's so enlightening. So that's probably one of our favorite things to do together.
Todd and I like hiking a lot, with our dog, without our dog, with our kids, if they're not complaining. We do like hiking, nothing like super strenuous. He was into rock climbing. That is not my thing, but hiking is on the list. We like golfing together, although I really never took scoring my game that seriously. So I would say not, from different perspectives. If he'd get serious, it was like not fun. But I would say hiking. We like to cook together. My husband is like unusual in that he's the cleaner, like really obsessively neat and clean. So we complement each other really nicely in that I'll cook and he'll clean. So I consider that together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, do we watch and follow other podcasters who?
Yes, I do. I love Espace Tricot. I love their patterns and their aesthetic, and their friendship is fun to watch. And I love the Knitters League. The same thing. It's just they're lovely women, and they have a great sense of friendship or community on their podcast, and I like seeing that. So those are probably my top 2 faves.
Yeah, I like the Knitters League and Espace Tricot also. And actually, it's funny, Lisa from Espace Tricot was one of the first people to just really encourage us to just go for it and do our own podcast. We've met them a few times. So thank you, Lisa, because I'm sure she's watching.
Right.
I also enjoy watching The Knitting Place, Dinah and Pam.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed them too. I like them.
Yeah. And another one, which was kind of like my first one that I ever watched, was The Grocery Girls. They're fun. So, and they make me
They're
smile.
so funny. They're just so funny. They're just,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Laura, I need to add to the list.
Yeah, nothing to add. The 3 that I'm not a big podcast watcher because I tend to watch TV while I knit, not watch podcasts. But I do like Espace Tricot, Knitting Place, and Knitters League. Those are the ones that I keep up with.
Okay, my list is longer. In addition, adding to that, okay, I love the Chelsea Pearls, and Christina has done something. She brings her husband on now that her partner in crime, Miriam, is not available. They are just so funny. All of them, every combination is so funny. So I really enjoy watching them. I also have been watching Stress Knits, Stacey Elstone. She is a dyer, Stress Knits yarns. And I am right now just kind of obsessed with some of her yarns. So, and her colors, I'm into it. So that's going to be my next purchase. I learn a lot sometimes by watching Whiskey and Wool, who is Shannon. She has done some great tutorials for things. She is a college professor in fashion and design, and when she does a lot of online, she has some online classes, and so she's a really good presenter of information. And I just find even just sometimes when she's talking about some current event like inclusivity or something like that, is very thoughtful and insightful. And so I do really suggest her podcast is called Whiskey and Wool. She does a whiskey chat. I don't drink whiskey, but if you're into that, I just think it's kind of different. And I learned something. I also find knitting vicariously very funny, but it's a swearing friendly podcast. And Caroline tells you that right up front. So if it's not for you, that's totally cool. And I guess there's a couple I watch also, Knit Style, and that is Sharon and her husband. She's the knitter and she does some dyeing, and they're not too far from us because they shop in Danbury, but they live in New York, so somewhere like Upper Hudson or Mid Hudson. And her husband Rich is always on the podcast with her. He's not a knitter, he's just funny. He just sort of tells it like it is, and they bring their dog on. They have a tiny Yorkie, and I like seeing them together. So yeah, I think that's good addition to the list.
Yeah.
But to me, like, it should be fun. Oh, we forgot Cozy Up Knits. We really.
Oh yeah.
So that's 4 sisters from Grand Prairie, Alberta, Canada, like way the heck up north, west Canada. And they are prolific. They design someone's always making coffee in the background when they're just funny. They're kind of tell it like it is. Really like them. They're really close with each other. It's 4 sisters. They all kind of look alike.
They do, yeah.
Right? And
are 2 of them twins?
Yes, that would make sense, right? 2 of them are twins. So I've really come to like what they offer in their podcast too. All right, on to our questions.
I have actually, Lorien, one more, and the 4 City Knit Girls.
Oh,
I was going to say them. Yep.
Yeah, they're fun to watch too, and I tend to like the things that they knit, and so add that to the list.
Yeah. We were supposed to meet them at Knit City, Montreal. And
and maybe in July.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Someday. It doesn't mean it just means not now. All right, let's get a little off tangent from knitting. What is your favorite ingredient to cook with while stuck at home?
Oh, brother.
And Pop-Tarts is not an ingredient.
That's why I was laughing. I was telling everybody I made a Pop-Tart before the show, and
did you see Sophia made homemade Pop-Tarts?
Yeah. Those. I don't know how she doesn't weigh 300 pounds with all that stuff she's baking in her house. That's Sophia from out a lot. Oh my God, they look so good.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a lot of baking because it will be sitting around here and I'll be eating it.
Yeah.
So I'm a meat and potatoes gal. Give me red meat 12 times a day. A meatitarian.
That's what my boys
eat. I crave it. So to me, that's my favorite thing to cook with. So stupid. So,
it's better than Pop-Tarts.
I guess so.
Laura?
You know what? I haven't been that inspired about cooking, and I'm also meat, and I would say meat and veg. Most of my meals consist of, dinners, I guess, consist of meat and some sort of veg, but I have not been inspired. And I'm also lucky that my husband cooks a lot. So, a couple times, he's been cooking even a little bit more. Usually he cooks on the weekends, but now that we're all home, he's been cooking. We've been ordering out at least once a week. I don't have a favorite ingredient though.
My husband and my boys made chicken scarpaiello the other night, and it was really good. Really good. I like to bake. I don't love to cook. But yeah, we've been going through a lot of meat.
Great granola.
Yeah.
True. I haven't made any though. The boys don't like it. So
what about you, Lauren?
So I will always bake with chocolate or something else, but chocolate is always a good thing. I've definitely done my share of baking. When I make homemade pie crust, I make it in bulk and then freeze it. Like I make enough for multiple pie crusts using the recipe that I have. So I've had some of that in the freezer, and I said, we have to do something different than chocolate. So we just made it. We just had apple pie recently, which is good. I've also been doing a lot of curries. I can't explain why. And at the start of this, my daughter had put together a Pinterest board full of recipes because I was like, I just want to make stuff that you guys will eat. My son is a red meat lover. My daughter could be a vegetarian. And it's always challenging to get recipes or things that everybody will eat. So I worked my way through that Pinterest board, which was really helpful. And we found some winners. We found some, don't do that again. Nothing that was inedible. So that's good. But tonight it's a shrimp curry, poached shrimp. I don't know, something like that. What else do we have? Oh, this is a question. I don't know if we've answered this. What are our favorite needles? Mm-hmm. And then which do we like for magic loop?
Okay. I like my Clover needles. They were the ones I started with. I also like my
the bamboo ones, right?
Yeah, the bamboo ones. I also like the likey ones, licky, but the cord I have an issue with. So Kate introduced me to buying a new cord for it, and it's much more flexible. So I get both. I get the nice needles and the flexible cord, but these are very long. I should have gotten the shorties for certain things. So my go-to, long story longer, is the clover for sure. But then that's my second one.
Mine are definitely my likey, however you say it. And this actually is a Licka cord, but it's so short it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me. But I believe, are they the Knitter's Pride?
Knitter's Pride,
cords?
yeah.
Yeah, they fit on the Licka needles, and I like those, the longer cords, better than these. These are very stiff and very thick. So I don't love the cords. My favorite cords are actually on the Chigu red lace needles. Those are the best cords, and I love those for Magic Loop. But I find the metal tips are harder on my hands than the wooden. So these are my go-to.
So I like the Clover Bamboo. I have the interchangeable set. The only frustration that I have with them is that the cords come unscrewed, and so Mason Dixon Knitting, they raved I don't know, a year or two ago about tulip bamboo needles, and they join and then the cord swivels out the back so they don't come unscrewed. So I'm either knitting on one or the other, but I do like bamboo more than metal. I don't even know if it's about my hands as much as how the stitches move. They don't slip, but they don't get stuck. I like bamboo.
Interesting. I found my bamboo needles too sticky for me, and metal needles, I have done too much knitting, and I have not a lot of strength, and I have arthritis in my hands. So Licka needles saved me and with knitting. I have the same interchangeable set that Kim was showing with the longer tips, and I've already swapped out my smaller sized tips with new ones. This year I swapped out my 4, 5, 6, 7 because I'd worn the wood down.
Wow.
It just wasn't moving. It wasn't as smooth and soft, but I can definitely feel a difference, not just how my hands react, but I can feel it when I'm knitting. Yeah, I don't like the cords. I haven't switched to the Knitter's Pride, but I should. I have some extension cords there. I have like a 60 and a 47, which have been really useful when I've done some of those blankets this year. So those are my favorites. For sock knitting, I haven't done a ton of sock knitting, and when we start, I'm gonna have a leg up on sock knitting. So that I'll only need to do heels, toes, and cuffs, and so then I'm probably have to take out my metal. I have a bunch. I have Addy Rockets, small size needles with long cords, and Magic Loop all the time for me. So although I love my Knitter's Pride cubics, I'm using a size 1.5, which is really tiny, and they're square shaped needles. They're long, they're about 6 inches long for my mitered square blanket. So that's also why it takes me an hour, is because I'm using a really tiny needle, like 40 minutes per square. I feel like, there was a question on one of our other videos that asked continental or English?
English is this one, right? When I throw?
Yeah, if you throw, well,
yeah.
English, continentals, your yarn is in your left hand.
No, I do. Yarn is in my right hand. That's how I was taught. I can do the other, but it's not much fun because it's so slow. But if I had to learn, I could pick up the other one. But I do throw too. So
I am English also. I throw, but when I did my Soldotna last year, I actually did my second color in my left hand like constantly, and I got much better at it. So I can do it. I don't love my tension that with that hand as much, but I'm able to do it now, which I wasn't before. So
pretty much the same. Definitely English. I took a class many years ago to try to figure out how to knit faster, and I worked on making everything smaller. I did also take a class more recently, like 2 or 3 years ago, trying to learn continental, because I think ultimately it is faster, but I do use it for 2-color knitting. It's very helpful, but I just can't switch to it permanently. English throwing is too ingrained in me.
It's like asking somebody,
guys. I knit continental, but I throw, which is a total waste of efficiency, but it's just what habit I developed. And the only person I've ever met who knits exactly the same way is Alyssa Ludeman. She's one half of Tin Can Knits. And she showed us in a class, and I was like mind blown, because do the same thing. And I can knit with either hand. So I do ferrule with or color work with both hands when I have 2 colors. And if I have more than 2 colors, the extra colors go in my left hand, because that's my dominant hand. And every now and then, it depends on the knit, the needles, the yarn, I can pick, but not as reliably as throwing. So that's fascinating. I didn't know you guys were all English.
Again, we were taught. I think we should hold off and save some questions for next week.
Yeah, I think we're through
done
most of them.
we're done. It's lunchtime.
Oh,
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I know my boys are starting to mill around, like in the other room.
They're looking.
They're circling.
So one last thing is that our make along, we have some threads in our Ravelry group. So there's a chatter thread and just a finished object thread. So just make sure you put your finished object photos in there.
There's a few
Do
there.
you have a hashtag?
Yes.
Yes.
Hashtag small things. MAL. Is that right?
Yep, small things MAL.
You can crochet or
use those, because we'll have fun with that, and we'll really start contributing to that more and more.
Yeah.
All right, so we will see you again soon.
Yeah.
Watching.
Happy
Subscribe
knitting.
if you're not a subscriber. Tell your friends. Tell your knitting groups, and we'll see you soon. Stay well.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.